Because anytime someone is operating out of anger, they have the potential to make wrong decisions. Think about how many people who got angry and made a mistake that they couldn't just say they were sorry about and it'd be over. There are people who got angry and went and shot up places and took people's lives. And now they're in jail for the rest of their lives because they got caught up in anger. There are people because they couldn't deal with their anger or they didn't know how to communicate properly. They did something that they could never take back. And the truth of the matter, it may not even go that far. You may get caught up in your anger and say something that you can't take back. Say something to your spouse that you can't take back. Say something to your parents that you can't take. Say something to your kids because words are like tubes of toothpaste. Once they're out, no matter how hard you try, you can't put them back in. No matter how many times you say you're sorry, they hear it over and over and over again. And they begin to question your love for them because you showed them something different.
Yeah, and you have to be careful too of misplaced anger, because sometimes the people closest to us are the easiest for us to pop off on. Mm-hmm. And so somebody made you mad at work, but you came home and took it out on your kids or your husband, or you looking at your kids and saying, "You look just like your daddy. I can't stand none of y'all. Y'all all look alike." You're mad at the dad, but you're taking it out on the kids. And so you have to be careful of that misplaced anger, because don't bring things home because you like, I can't pop off at my boss because I'm gonna lose my job, but I'll go home with all that anger, and then the first little thing that somebody does, I'm going off on them. So you have to be careful with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the key. So our first point was don't compromise your integrity. Number 2 was don't antagonize their anger, and then number three, put that scripture. James 3:17 says, but the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure and full of quiet gentleness. Then it is peace-loving and courteous. Go to the next one. Philippians 4:5 says, let everyone see that you are unselfish and considerate in all you do. Remember that the Lord is coming soon. And so our next point is don't minimize their feelings.
Yes.
You may not agree with their feelings, but you can't minimize their feelings.
And some people have a lot of feelings. So people like me have to really sit, and because I'm not a very emotional person like that. And so, but you do have to learn how to let other people have their emotional moments. And so you just have to make some adjustments and know that everybody experiences the world from their own point of view. Mm-hmm. So you don't know what situation and circumstances has shaped why that person feels that way. And that's one thing that I had to learn. I'm like, okay, it doesn't really affect me, but maybe something I said really, affected them. And so I have to go back and think like, I wouldn't be offended by that, but they did. Maybe they had something in their past that, maybe I triggered something. And so when people say, oh, I was offended or you hurt my feelings, I'm like, that shouldn't have hurt your feelings, but then I have to stop myself like, well, maybe it really did hurt their feelings. Maybe they really did take it another way. And that just comes with maturity, but you have to know that everybody just experiences the world differently and have different experiences, and that shapes how they respond to things, and you can't minimize that. Yeah.
Because their feelings are their feelings. They may not be accurate, but it's how they felt in the moment. And so when you minimize it, what they hear is, you're not important to me. I'm not even important enough for me to share what hurt me, and you even take the time just to listen.
Right. Yes.
Because sometimes we think people are looking for agreement. And what they're looking for is just to express out loud what they're feeling and what they're going through, and have you just sit in the moment and be present in the moment. Sometimes, and I had to learn this, sometimes you got to let people talk and keep your opinions to yourself. Because as they're expressing their emotions and their feelings, they're not even open or ready to receive correction,
Right.
or idea or a strategy. Why? Think about this. Would you pour out your oil just on the ground?
Right.
And many times when people are in their feelings or they in their emotions and they're expressing themselves, they're not even capable of hearing actually what you said. All they know is you cut them off, you didn't listen to them, and so therefore you don't care about them, and now they don't feel you as a safe space or a safe person where they can express themselves fully.
Right. Right.
Because many of us make this mistake. We listen to give an answer rather than listen to listen. There are times I even have to fight with myself. My wife is saying something, and what she says, it triggers me saying something, and I'm about to say something. Oh, she's still talking.
And I have to tell her, I don't want your opinion right now. I don't want you to
Don't tell me. No, I'm just playing.
just sit there and listen. I have to I don't want you to say nothing. Just sit there and listen, because I need to get this out. And, so he'll go into preacher. I'm like, don't preach to me. I was just at church.
Anyway. But you know what? That helps me, because now I know, okay.
And then I'll be like, so what you think? And then he want to act like, oh, you didn't want my opinion.
But watch this. This is what you can't do either. This is what you can't do. I don't need you to say nothing. I just want to express myself. And then you express yourself, and then you got an attitude. You ain't even say nothing. What? Hold on. You didn't. I thought you wanted to be quiet on this one. I was doing what you want. Gave you what you want. And so you can't minimize people's feelings, even if you feel like they're wrong. Now, that does not mean you agree with their feelings, but you allow them to express their feelings.
Right. Yeah.
Because then what you become for that person, especially if you care about that person, if you love that person, you always want to be a safe space for the person.
Right.
Whether it's your spouse or your children. And let me say this to the fathers. Fathers, we already got a struggle, because in most cases we are the disciplinarians. We are the structure. We are the order. And sometimes kids can look at that structure and order and feel like, I can't talk to dad. And so sometimes what we have to do as men is we have to go a little bit over and beyond. We have to initiate the conversations. We have to have the talks. Hey, son, I love you. Hey, daughter, I love you. I just want you to know I'm always here for you. Daddy's your biggest supporter. I always want you. Now, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I'm going to keep it 100, but I want you to feel like I'm a safe space. You can always communicate to me, because let's be honest, dads. You would rather your children, even if they got into trouble, to come to you than to go to anybody else.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you got their best interests at heart. And we know sometimes they're going to go to mom, because mom is the nurturer, and she's going to be, oh, baby, it's all right. Donna, that's my baby, and all that. But in the same token, fathers, we got to make sure that we're present even in those moments. And so we making sure we're not minimizing feelings. All right, go to the next scripture. James 3:17, the B portion of that says it allows discussion and is willing to yield. Remember, it's talking about wisdom. It allows discussion and is willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy and good deeds. Proverbs 18:15 NLT says, intelligent people are always ready to learn. Their ears are open for knowledge. Number 4 is don't criticize the suggestions. I know to you it doesn't make sense, but don't criticize the suggestions. One day I was sitting in the parking lot, and Mother Nelson, one of the mothers at the church, she gave me some cologne. I didn't really like the way it smelled. And I said, no, thank you. And she said, Roman, Never tell nobody no, because one day they might have something that you really want. And what I mean by that is when we don't criticize the suggestions, you may not like this suggestion, but if you attack the suggestion, or you don't even take account of the suggestion, they may shut down, and the very answer that you need later may be in their mouths.